Hello, Galaxy! I'm Chris Pirillo, and I'm an expert in being myself. I love sharing my thoughts, ideas, perspectives, advice with everybody. I take my experiences and try to translate them for you, because you might possibly be able to learn something, and that might, believe it or not, change the trajectory of your life in the near term or the long term. But keep in mind that advice is not one size fits all, so you may have to accommodate and contextualize to better work within your life if it happens to be somewhat relevant. I don't know everything, I just know me. I have another question asked by a member of the community, and I prefer to answer these questions because you're listening. You're very, very happy to listen. I'm very happy to share with the people who do listen. Anonymous Canadian 85 asks, how do you know when it's time to let go and move on from the relationship you're in? This is nuanced. There's a lot that I can pack in, but I'm going to try to keep this as concise as I can. I'm going to do my best. Please bear with me, especially when my knee knocks into the desk. First, don't give up easy. That's for a relationship to survive. You can't give up easy. You can't turn tail like at the moment of trouble. Like, that's the worst thing you can do, because relationships are not just all about the highs. They're also about the lows. And you can better appreciate the highs when you've gone through the lows. And the more lows you pull through to find highs, the stronger your relationship becomes, because you have traveled that distance together. And you are well within your rights to exit a relationship if it's not working for you, as in maybe you don't find it fulfilling. And I'm careful about this because, again, everyone's got to make different choices, but fulfilling is not the same thing as happiness. I'm really cautious about the whole movement of be happy, find someone who makes you happy, happiness, happiness, happiness. Here's why. Because you can't always be happy. It's impossible. You can't. And when you think that you can always be happy in a relationship, then in those moments that you're sad, you think something's wrong. How is it wrong to feel sad? How is it wrong to feel disappointed? How is it wrong to go through the motions of a relationship? And you may not be thrilled with what's going on, and you've got to resolve problems, but to be in the mindset of you always have to be happy, or that person always has to make you happy, I think is going to set you up for failure. That's my belief. But fulfillment, on the other hand, is way more reasonable from my experience, because the relationship may fulfill you in different ways. It may not make you happy. Like, oh, I'm so glad this happened. Oh, that really makes me happy. No, that relationship may fill a gap that you have in your life. It may provide something that you couldn't get otherwise. That may very well be an alternative perspective. So Diana will very often have a different idea, a different opinion, and sometimes we will come to blows, right? Not physically, right? But we will have a difference of opinion. And when that happens, sometimes I'm resistant to not understanding, not listening, because I listen to understand, but seeing it that way. So I have no problem disagreeing, because you're going to disagree all the time. You can never agree all the time. Again, it kind of goes back to, you can't always be happy. Well, you can't always agree. So disagreements happen. Turning tail, the first disagreement, you're never going to survive in a relationship. But when you're in those situations, they are potentially forcing you to see a part of yourself that you didn't see otherwise. And I don't mean in a negative way, just like, well, when you're able to see it through different eyes, or you're able to hear it, and it may be something you reject right away in those moments because you disagree. And you are maybe going to see it that way, and that's the way you lead your life. I mean, I'm talking about big issues, potentially like religious issues, political issues, issues that matter, right? Not what do you want for dinner, or I can't believe that you don't like broccoli. Like, those are inconsequential. But they may very well matter to one person or the other. You got to decide where your boundaries are, and you also have to know where their boundaries are and respect them. So it's not important to disagree. It's important to compromise in the moments where you do disagree. Just like I said the other day, when you fight, don't just fight to fight. That's just burning off energy. You're just wasting energy. You may fight, you may disagree, you may be feeling very strong about something, but you've got to move towards a resolution. You have to fix the problems. So you've got to be ready to fix the problems. If the person that you're with is not interested in fixing problems, they just want to vent. If they provide, no fulfillment to you, or they don't, bring their best to the relationship, then and the best is relative, right? I'm not saying everyone's got to be at the top of their game all the time. That's impossible. What I'm saying is you can only live up to your own expectations. You can't live up to somebody else's expectations. You have to live up to your own. They will expect something from you, right? If you lay down who it is you are, they know the best of you. They should have seen the best of you. And more likely than not, they may have seen the worst of you. And you may have decided that the worst of someone is someone that you can't deal with. That is possible. It's entirely reasonable to say you can't do that. It's a deal breaker. Totally understand it. It transforms everything. But you've got to understand that working through hardships and working through challenges and working through disagreements and working through problems strengthens the relationship. It doesn't weaken it. You think, wait, fighting doesn't weaken the relationship? What do you mean? Because you can work through it together. You're a team. Remember what I said the other day? If you didn't watch that advice video, you may want to give that a watch right now. So it's time when maybe not you've hit a wall. Every relationship inevitably hits a wall, right? If you're no longer in alignment on long-term goals. Not that everything they do annoys you, because that's going to happen, especially if you live with them. You're going to have moments where those things will annoy you, at which point you both have to take time to approach things differently, or at least solve problems or coming up with compromises. If they're not willing to compromise, it's time on anything. There may be some things that they're not willing to compromise on. This is not black and white. This is nuanced. I'm just setting the stage. You're asking me, how do you know when it's time to let go? And it's not about you fell out of love with them. I don't believe, because I believe a relationship is stronger than love. People put so much emphasis on love, and it's a romantic idea, and I understand that, but love is different from appreciation. Happiness is different from fulfillment. And if you're chasing these lofty ideals that society thrusts upon you and tells you have to have a quote-unquote successful relationship, you're setting yourself up for failure. Are you fulfilled? Are you? Do you feel like you're getting something from this relationship that you couldn't get otherwise? Are you seeing something that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts? Then you stay in the relationship. But if you find that it's just death by 1,000 cuts, it's not just this, it's this and this and this and this, and this is my boundary. This is what I'm saying. That if you cross this line, that's it. I can't do it. This is my boundary. And they have to respect that. Everyone's got boundaries. Sometimes, it's an accident, and sometimes they may be testing your boundaries, but if it keeps happening over and over and over again, and they're violating your trust over and over and over again, it's like, dude, are you taking this seriously? Are you taking this relationship as seriously as I am? Because I'm committed. How committed are you? And committed doesn't mean we agree on everything. Committed doesn't mean that everybody's happy all the time. Committed doesn't mean it's a perfect balance. It just means you are committed to something greater than yourself. And if they're not, it's time to move on. It is not time to move on if you think the grass is greener on the other side. Because I'm sitting here telling you it is not. That's not the time to move on. If you see someone you think you're going to be happier with, that's not the time. It's time to move on if that current relationship is not working for you. That's my bottom line. That's where I stand. You can agree or disagree. Oh, look, it's a YouTube comment that disagrees with me. Surprise! Hopefully you agree with me. I appreciate you listening. As I mentioned before, I really appreciate when people in the community ask me for advice. Happy to lay it down on a variety of topics. Love relationships. Diana? Oh, I thought I heard her. Maybe it was the 3D printer squeaking, because, man, this could have ended really poorly.